evening. Welcome to another edition of Focus, and we're glad you've joined us for this very special edition of our program. I'm Tim Thomas, and we're glad you've joined us. We have some very special guests in our studio today, and we're going to be talking about the CASA program here in Hopkins County. And we have with us Daphne Maddox, who is the Executive Director, also Barbara Snap, who is a board member with the Board of Directors, and just a little later on we're going to be bringing up the new mommy, Catherine Jury, who is a volunteer with the court's appointed special advocate. So we're going to be talking to all three of these ladies about this very special program. Daphne and Catherine, welcome. We're glad to have you all.
Glad to be here.
Yeah, and Daphne, you're no stranger to Focus.
I'm not.
That's right.
New role, new agency.
Yes.
We're excited
yes.
to be here.
And we're excited to be able to talk a little bit about the CASA program. Give us a little update.
Yes. Well, our the umbrella agency for the CASA program closed earlier or later last year, and so a new agency was formed, and it's the CASA program of Hopkins, Webster, and Crittenden counties. So we're going to be serving 3 counties. So we're really excited about being able to do that, and so now it's just the CASA program. That's going to be our sole focus, is working with abused, neglected children in those 3 counties. So
Right, and 3 counties being?
Hopkins, Webster, and Crittenden.
Right.
So it's 3 counties, 2 different judges. We'll be working with Judge Susan McClure in the family court here in Hopkins County,
Yes.
and Judge Brandy Rogers in Webster and Crittenden County. So really excited about that.
Really an important program.
Absolutely.
And for people that don't know exactly what CASA is,
Yes.
kind of enlighten us.
Okay, CASA is Court Appointed Special Advocates. We train community volunteers to represent abused, neglected kids that are found themselves through social services to come into the family court system. So I train, and the staff will train these volunteers through court information, through child abuse information, how to do their role as a CASA volunteer, whether it be educating them on interviewing, report writing, information gathering, all those things, and then helping them to present that information to the judge in the court setting, advocating for them in the school setting, in their day-to-day operations with that child through the foster care system, things like that, to make sure those kids get their needs met, to be that extra set of eyes and ears for the judge. So that's kind of our thing that we'll be doing in these 3 counties.
Sure, a very important program, and one that deals a lot with children and the importance of making sure that children's lives are healthy emotionally as well.
Yes, absolutely, yes. The kids that we deal with come from varying backgrounds. It's something that is a misnomer, I think. We find that people think that the kids that we deal with are all going to come from the same socioeconomic status, and that is that they're all going to be poor, impoverished, things like that. And we see child abuse across the gamut. It's coming from every different kind of home. It can come from teachers, it can come from educators, nurses, it can come from any background, people that are highly educated to people that are impoverished as well. Child abuse is across the gamut, so we need to make sure that we educate ourselves, and then that we volunteer our time so that we can help these kids.
Sure. And I know that this organization is comprised of a board of directors.
Yes.
Tell us a little bit how many you have on your board and how the board is set up.
Yes, our board was instrumental in getting this CASA program started after the initial program was not able to function anymore, and so we have a 15-member board currently operating now, and that's why Barb is here to talk a little bit about the board and what they've been up to and how they've gotten us to the point that we're at right now, so we're excited about that.
Right, and it's never good to have you with us, and boards, as all of us know, play an essential role in organizations to make sure that it continues to run smoothly, to overlook what is taking place with the executive director, that type of thing. How did you come about knowing about this program?
Well, I was approached by a good friend and a colleague who had been a former CASA volunteer, and she was aware that the board was changing, that the new organization was being formed, and And so she got me enticed. I really did not know anything about CASA until I was approached. But she gave me a lot of information, and the more she told me about CASA, the more I was intrigued, and the more I could see how the benefit of an organization like CASA for the children.
Right, and for this type of board, I would think it takes a very special person, special people to deal with the situations that you deal with.
Well, my background is nursing. I've been a
Yes.
nurse almost 50 years.
Wow.
And so right now I'm a nurse educator and a hospice nurse. But I think nursing is one aspect. Teachers, we have members of the law enforcement community. We have bankers. We have businessmen. We have a gamut of people that are board members that can bring all different aspects to the board.
Is this what you enjoy most about the board, or what enjoy?
Well, I think one of the things I've enjoyed most about being on this board is that I was able to come in at the very beginning. I've been on other boards before, but this is the first time I've been able to be part of putting the whole process together, and I have learned so much about how a board should be and how the director functions. And we, for example, at our last board meeting, we were in Marion in Crittenden County, and we were able to meet with Judge Rogers. And she gave us another aspect of what it means to be a CASA board member. And she invited us to come to her courtroom, and so we plan to do that. And I know we have the same invitation from Judge McClure as well.
Yeah, and really, in a real sense, I would consider CASA, and then your nursing and the hospice, all this is a ministry. It ties in as a ministry, you know.
It does, absolutely.
And I think you have to have a heart for ministry when you're dealing with people of all sorts.
I'd say that's true of all our board members. Everybody on the board is excited about being able to participate and being able to make a difference. And when you learn what CASA can do for the children and how they can improve their situations and expedite things, that's what is exciting to us as board members.
Yes. Daphne, how many people are you serving at the moment?
We are in a transition period right now, so
Okay.
we had to go to, sorry about that.
No problem.
We had to go to where we weren't able to serve children for about a 6-month period during our
Gotcha.
transition, so we had to close one program, wait while the board created the new program and get a blessing from National CASA to start the new organization, and get all the paperwork and with the government, IRS, and all those different places, get those blessings in place. And so we are back to, we have about 11 active volunteers in the 3 counties, and we're serving around 22 kids right now. So we're back down to, at the beginning. We're in a better position than a lot of brand new programs when we're looking at the startup programs, because most of those startup programs have 0 volunteers. They start with nothing. And so we're starting with a core group of volunteers. And if anybody's seen iServe recently, they've seen the core group in Hopkins County just get recommissioned under the new CASA name. So we had that core group there that Judge McClure just did the commissioning for. So we're excited about that, and we'll be doing the commissioning in Webster County and a commissioning in Crittenden County to get our core group of volunteers in those 2 counties commissioned and begin their work there as well.
Right, and now where are you located at and operating from?
We are currently still in I call it squatting. I don't know what other time. We're currently squatting in a free location in the.
It's free, that's good.
It's a free location in the Judicial Center. Thanks to Judge McClure and Judge Brantley has allowed us to be in that place when we needed a place to set up shop to be able to operate. So that's where we're at currently. People don't typically drop by there. They usually just call us. But we're hoping, if we stop running into issues and roadblocks, that soon we will be located at the old courthouse.
Yes.
We have some office space that we are trying to rent there. at the second floor, what used to be the old district courtroom.
Sure.
And they've turned it into, I think it's a Suite 26. The elevator, if anybody's seen the news yesterday on iSurf, the elevator is now down at the old courthouse, and we cannot move in until the elevator is fixed.
I got you.
There was an emergency physical court meeting yesterday, apparently, to figure out how to fix the elevator. So, if anybody watched, I didn't go to the physical court meeting, but I'm not for sure. But
good things come to those that wait.
and Mr. Duncan said we need to wait.
Yeah.
Because apparently nobody wants to take desk up curly stairs.
Right. Well,
So we're waiting.
we're waiting, and that's an excellent place.
It is. It's a very good place. There's a lot of other agencies that do similar things that we do. The child support unit, there's a drug testing. The public advocacy is upstairs in the third floor. A Department of Juvenile Justice is there. So there's a lot of agencies. And, of course, we're right across from the Judicial Center where we'll do our work in advocacy there. So it's a great location, good parking, good visibility. So we're excited about being right downtown.
Right. We do want to give us a number, too, so that someone that may want to call.
Yes. Currently, we have to wait until we get moved into our office to get our landline hooked up. But right now, the people can call 270-875-5646, and that's a cell phone that we're using. It's my number. It'll come straight to me, Daphne Maddox. But feel free to leave a message, or if you don't get me personally, but they can call that number, and we will see what we can do to help you and get you hooked up with some extra information. Or you can visit us on Facebook too. We don't have a website yet, but visit us on Facebook, and it's CASA of Hopkins, Webster, Crittenden, and it's a verified page. So if you see any other page, it is verified now. So check that out.
Well, we're going to put that on the screen as well, so that our listening audience can see that and participate in it if they need to.
Yes.
Because we never know what people are going through. We don't know what other kids are going through. And this kind of program is much needed in our area. And I'm thankful that it is still, it is back and running.
Absolutely.
So many kids go through so much trauma.
They do. We have a lot of it. A lot of it here, even in the three-county area that we're serving. There's so much abuse and neglect, and we don't see it as much because we don't have a news organization with cameras going to the people's homes, like up in Evansville or Nashville. So they don't see those things. But we have it here just like other places have it. We have the horrible cases where kids are being physically abused and sexually abused. We have those really horrific cases. A few of them make it when they go to trial, and I think, there were some cases, recently that made the front page of the paper with horrible sexual abuse or different things like that. Those are extreme cases, but know that a lot of cases are unreported or never make it to trial that are just as bad. And they're here in Hopkins County.
Well, Daphne, I know you always had a heart for this.
Absolutely.
And you're known all across the county and state for the work you do in this. And so you're really committed.
Absolutely.
Yeah, you're really committed. And we're just glad that you're in this position. And I know I speak for you.
Absolutely. Yes.
We see the board now transitioning to help with getting everything moving and running. What do you see, Ms. Snap, in the future for this organization that you would like to see?
Well, I think Daphne's touched on it already, and that would be growth. Growth in the area of getting more CASA volunteers so that we can serve more of the needy children.
And there is a need.
Absolutely.
A need for that. How many volunteers possibly do you want to look at having?
I think some of the numbers that we've put around, at least within this first year, is 20 to 40 volunteers this first year are easy numbers that we think we can reach. We can handle it very easily this first year. We're wanting to serve at least 50% of the kids, within the first couple of years. I think when we were functioning before, we were right at like a fourth of the kids is what we were serving. So easily, getting up to that 50% mark within the first couple of years. I know this, we've been building for the last 6 months, getting our paperwork and everything done. So we're ready to get functioning and start serving kids again. So we'd like to get volunteers calling us. We have a training session that we hope, if we can get the location settled, that seems to be what keeps getting up in the air. But we'd like to get a training started late February, early March, if we can get some applications in and get them screened and get them ready to go, to get those volunteers ready to go, and get them through the 30 hours of training that's required.
Right. And what type of training do they go through?
Yes. Well, they first have to go through, National CASA requires all this. This isn't anything that the local programs have done. We're part of a national organization that helps us outline everything, and then we're also part of a state organization, Kentucky CASA Network. So we have all these guidelines that we go through, and it's also part of the Kentucky Revised Statutes, which is the law here in Kentucky. So all of this is outlined there. But National CASA has an outline of what we need to do to screen the volunteers, and the screening is an application process that includes three background checks that are a state, a social services, and then a nationwide background check that includes social security verification and sex offender check. So we do that. They also have to go through 3 reference checks that they give us some names, and we send them letters, and they have to complete them and send them back. When all that is complete, then we call them in for an interview and just talk to them with some questions that National CASA has provided, and go through this interview with them and make sure that they understand the commitment, see where they're coming from. We want to make sure that their motivation is correct. We've had some that want to maybe avenge the sex offenders in the world, and that's not really what CASA is about. We're there to help the kids and not to push their own agenda. So we want to make sure that we're a good fit for these people. And when they get through that, then they're welcomed into the training session. Now, that doesn't automatically mean that they become CASA volunteers. They go through the 30 hours of training, which includes the law about child abuse. It includes the social services and how a case travels through there. Then it's several chapters of the family and what issues come against the family, poverty, domestic violence, mental health, things that happen with the children, issues that kids face.
Sure.
All those different kinds of things, just to make people aware. We have people from GEDs all the way up to, I've had an ER doctor before.
Wow.
So we have people from varying backgrounds. So we try to give them just a nice general basis of information to draw from. And then they get their role of a CASA. There's 3 chapters on their role: how to gather information, how to put it together in a report, and how to take care of themselves, because they're going to be dealing with some heavy information, and make sure that they can do that. And once they complete that training, then we make sure that they're ready to go forward, and that we didn't see anything that was alarming during the training, and that they feel comfortable going forward. And then we get them commissioned by the judge. The judge swears them in for confidentiality's sake and for their role as a CASA volunteer, and then they're assigned to a case.
Wow. And in just a few minutes, we're going to bring Catherine on and let her talk a
Yes.
bit about her experience with the training and the volunteerism part of CASA. Ms. Stamp, anything you want to add to this that you might want to share with our listening audience?
Well, I just think it's such a dynamic organization, and I feel very comfortable speaking on behalf of the board to say how much we value Daphne and how we are behind her 100%. We have learned so much in this process. We started back in the fall, in the late summer, and just coming together in an organizational way, and we have learned so much about the local, state, and national requirements to be a good, solid CASA organization. And I think Daphne just described to you more than most people would have realized what a person has to go through to be a volunteer. Just to learn things about that and know that there is good, solid information there, that people don't just come into this just real casually. It's very, very specific. And so we're very proud of Daphne. We're very proud of being on the board. It's a dynamic board, and we're still learning. Every time we meet, we learn something, and it's exciting to be part of something like this.
It really is. And if people wanted to give toward financial support, can they do that?
Yes, they can. Daphne is probably right now the best person to contact with any kind of questions about donating. Yes, we're very happy to receive donations. We also apply for grants. We have some wonderful volunteers and people that have donated to us. We have some people that regularly donate. We also have some anonymous donors, and so we're very grateful to everybody.
Right. And I hope that United Way will be part of this part of this effort?
We are applying to them to become a partner with them again.
Great.
And to the United Way of Ohio Valley as well, because they cover Webster County. So
Yes.
we'll be hopefully back in that group again. So
Right. Well, being part of United Way, as you know, I feel like that'll happen because, well, with you, Daphne, I mean, as you said, your presence means a lot
Yes.
and speaks volumes. You spoke at Kiwanis several times. Now you spoke at the different civic organizations. And when she gets through, tears are flowing because you have that caring heart. And that's what it's really all about. Because in the final analysis, all that's left is what those of us of faith, that's really what's going to count at the end, what we do for others. And so this is just kind of putting more stars in the crown when we're helping kids and doing something for children. So we're gonna pause for just a moment, and we're certainly glad you come, and we want you all to come back
Thank you.
and be with us.
Thank you.
We're gonna pause a moment and bring Miss Catherine up. We're back, and joining us is Mrs. Catherine Jury. Welcome.
Thank you.
We're glad to have you. You are a new mom. We're gonna get this out of the way first. You're a new proud mommy.
Yes.
Yes. And tell us a little bit about your new son.
Yes, his name is Cohen. He's almost 8 weeks. So
Oh, wow.
Yeah, we've been doing the parenthood thing for almost 2 months now. But he's fairly perfect, we think, but we're a little biased.
Of course. Cohen is in the studio. He's kind of asleep right now. I don't know if we just really bored him out or what, but yeah, he's knocked out right now. But we're glad you've joined us. And you are a volunteer with CASA, and we were talking about how volunteers are important and the importance of volunteerism. Give us an idea of how you decided to get into CASA and be a volunteer, and kind of what the training was like.
Sure. I came to CASA. I was fortunate enough to know some other individuals who were volunteers, and so I learned about the program through other volunteers in the area. I grew up in a family that had foster children, and seeing their interactions with the court system and how long some of those processes can be, sometimes it feels like a child's individual needs can get lost in the system. And so CASA is a program that really seeks to serve the individual children. And so that's something that I was really interested in because of my background, working with children and families in my job, and then personally having connections to the foster system. Becoming a volunteer was very interesting. I did not realize ahead of time how much vetting and then education that volunteers get.
Yes.
I think that that's a really important piece of information for people who might think of volunteering, is that you don't have to come with all of the knowledge. You have to just be willing to learn and to serve, and truly Daphne will teach you the rest.
Yes. How long have you been in this area?
My husband and I have lived in Hopkins County for right at 3 years, so not that long, but
How do you like it?
we really like it. We come from Nelson County, from Bardstown, and so in a lot of ways Madisonville is very similar.
Yes. Yeah.
It feels like home.
That's great. That's great. And as you progress with your training, was the training, for those that might be interested in, and she was telling us a little bit about the training, was the training difficult, or did it run pretty smoothly?
No, it wasn't difficult at all. In fact, you develop friendships because you're spending 30 hours with the group of people that you're training with, and so I developed some really good friendships from it. I think we learned a lot, but we also had a really good time, and so it was not like a school class or anything like that. You're learning about things that are interesting, and Daphne makes all of it apply to real cases and real children that we'll get to help, and so it made it very interesting.
So you would agree with me what I said earlier, that you have to have a special love for this and for
Yes.
kids.
Yeah.
Do you find it stressing at times when dealing with different situations? Maybe not stress, but do you find it emotional at times?
Yes, yes. Unfortunately, some of the situations that children in our community have had to endure can be very unfortunate, and so having empathy for those children and for those families is a very important aspect of being a volunteer. But it's important, and some of the things that you learn is developing self-care. So how to process some of the things that you may see or learn about.
Mm-hmm.
I'm fortunate in that I come from a counseling background. My master's is in child and family counseling.
Mm-hmm.
And so I've had the opportunity to learn in that role, and then also as the role of a CASA volunteer, how to be able to take what you're seeing and what you learn and process it in a way that ultimately the focus is still on the children that you're serving, and that you're still able to help them in the best way possible. And I think that provides wonderful motivation to do that,
Mm-hmm.
to see that what you're doing is making a difference in the lives of those children and those families.
Right, and the education that field that you are in really brings a lot to the CASA program and to that
It's
area.
a good fit.
It really is. It really is. And things like that doesn't just happen.
No.
You know, sometimes it's designed.
Yes, sir.
Yes,
sir.
to bring that about. And Daphne, when you talk about the program, the importance of the program, and what it is undertaking, what are your thoughts on like the impact that it has? Because really, if you think about it, one would never even think here in the best town on earth that these kind of situations would be taking place. It's like the silent thing that you never hear about.
It is. Some of the statistics that we had said that I think about over 5% of the population in any given year were reported abused or neglected in this area. 5%. Now, if you had 5% of the people having the flu, that's an epidemic. That's an issue. So 5% of the kids being reported abused or neglected is huge. So that's something that we need to keep in mind. Now, not all those cases are substantiated, but we know that just to be reported and to be in the system is trauma, for those children. And we know that every case that is reported, we know with sexual abuse, for every one case that's reported, 3 go unreported. So, and they go unreported for various reasons. Some of them, it was maybe an old grandpa that was the one that sexually abused them, and they don't, they're scared to tell. They don't want to get him in trouble. They're younger when it happens, and they don't know. And later on they realize, maybe they've not ever been told that it's wrong for these things to happen, things like that. So there's a lot of different reasons that the kids don't tell. But we do know for every one case that's reported that 3 go unreported. So that's in sexual abuse cases. So we know that it happens a lot around here. And so, helping to educate people that it does happen, and programs like CASA that helps intervene and to help break that cycle of child abuse is really important.
Right. And I would think, not knowing much into it because I know it's private matters, but I would think that it cuts across economic, racial, and social barriers. It's not, a lot of people would think, well, this is, one class of people, but it doesn't always be like that.
It's not a respecter of persons. So we've seen it across all different levels of people and socioeconomic statuses and everything. It really is. You never know, and I used to say, it never happens here, or we've not ever had an Indian case. We have, there's special laws that govern Indian. It's Indian Child Welfare Act, and I used to glaze over that in the training. We've had 2 Indian cases, Cherokees, and there's whole laws that govern that, and it trumps anything in the state. So I
No
don't.
pun intended, I'm sure.
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah.
So we don't. I didn't even catch that. So we don't glaze over that, and we have to make sure that we address that because there could be there's 550 50, so many recognized tribes. So, those are things that we look into when we start a case. We ask some questions early on, and then, then we can move on. But we do need to make sure that we screen for those kind of things early on. Sometimes the state's good about that, and sometimes they're not so good. But if there is some Indian heritage there, we need to check on it. So we need to do that.
Catherine, don't you think that at times there, like maybe someone listening to the program now or watching the program now, that maybe are going through something and sometimes they're scared to reach out, scared to call the numbers that they see on the screen, or, you know what I'm saying?
Definitely, and I think I would say the majority of individuals who find themselves somehow involved in the family court system would not have imagined themselves there.
Okay.
And so I don't think that there's anyone that thinks that this could happen to their family or someone that they know or a child that they know or have come into contact with. And so just coming from that frame of mind, that this really could happen to any family, that your family is not exempt, can, I think, help, but also shows that just the need is so great. The need is great for volunteers. The need is great for community members who are willing to be supportive of this program, because there are so many families and children in our area that need the support of the CASA program. And so for us to be able to support all that have those needs really does take the entire community, and really does take a lot of people who are willing to do their small part to help.
Yeah,
Yes.
yeah. I know we're running a little bit out of time, but one quick question. Of the areas that you see, I guess you're just really now kind of gearing up, but of the 3 counties that you see, where do you see number-wise? Is it kind of hard to say at the moment?
Hopkins County is a larger county than the other 2.
Gotcha.
So we see around 200 cases in Hopkins County were filed last year.
200.
200 petitions were filed
Wow.
in Hopkins County Court. And the other counties, I think the numbers were Webster County had around 100 and Crittenden was around 75 of cases of child abuse. So there's still cases there, and there's still a great need in all the counties. And we only have a couple of volunteers in each of those counties, so there's very much room for improvement in volunteer numbers. So we're
Right.
excited to get the word out. We're just starting in Crittenden County. We don't have much of a footprint there. I think there's just been a little bit of talk in Crittenden County about CASA, so we're still getting started there. Webster County's had CASA for a little while with a couple of volunteers and a couple cases, so they kind of know a little bit about CASA, so we're not as behind there.
Sure. And
So.
if we could, it would be a perfect world if we did not have to have CASA.
Exactly. I would love to work myself out of a job and be able
Right.
to retire and say, all the kids, there's no other kids that need CASA. That would be great.
It would be. But in the imperfect world we live in, there is a need. There
There is.
continues to be a need. And we have to stay prayerful that we can make things better
Absolutely.
for our kids. We're closing out, but I'm going to give each of you a chance, and I'll start with you, Catherine, to look into the camera and just speak directly to our audience of what you might want to share and to those that might be listening.
Yes, thank you. I think the biggest point that I would like to make is just that if you have a heart for children, a heart for families, and you're looking for a way to better your community, getting involved with the CASA program is a wonderful way to do that. I think so often when we volunteer, we give, but we receive so much more from that. I know that that's been the case with me.
Great. Definitely.
How do you follow that up? I don't
Really?
know. I just want to remind people that with CASA, these kids that are involved in the program, they receive so much from the program. We have studies that prove that the kids are moved less, that they have less juvenile delinquency, that they are less likely to be teen parents, that they get more services when a CASA volunteer is involved than when there's not. So there's so many studies that prove that CASA is effective. And so if you're looking for a program to become involved with that has those studies backing it, please call us so that we can get you hooked up with becoming a CASA volunteer.
That is great. That is great. Thank you all for being on focus.
Thank you
We're
for
glad,
having us.
and we want you to come back. Catherine, it's so good to meet you.
Yes, sir.
I could just sit here and talk to her all
I
day.
know.
I mean, you're just endearing, I'm telling you.
Well, thank you.
Yeah, yeah. So we're glad to have had you. We're certainly glad to have Ms. Snap with us as well, coming and sharing about the board and what it means and the importance of the CASA program. And I think you've learned a lot. And again, we're going to give the number again that someone can call if
Yes.
they're in need of help.
Absolutely.
You want to give us that number one
Yes,
more time?
it's 270-875-5646.
Right, and if they want to just drop by the Justice Center,
They cannot really just jump by because I'm
Okay.
tucked back away from everybody.
right,
But they should
just call.
just call or visit our Facebook page, and you can message me there, and I will get back to them, and hopefully everybody will know when we move in. We'll make it very public,
Right.
and they'll come and see our new location. And then you can just drop by and visit me.
How about that? Let's
Yes.
make it happen,
Absolutely.
and let's wish for the best. Let's wish for the
Yes.
best. You've been watching Focus here with Tim Thomas, and we're glad you joined us for this edition of our program. By all means, keep sharing the dream.